Despite his early departure from formal schooling, Walt Disney was a lifelong advocate for education, believing that we are always presented the opportunity to learn something new. True to his word, Walt had his own personal library where he kept books that he referenced and sought inspiration from in his professional and personal life. To get into the back-to-school spirit, we went to the Walt Disney Family Museum's collections to check out those very books from Walt's collection. The Art of Walt Disney by Robert D. Field is a foundational book that explores the rise of animated films and Walt Disney's significant contributions to it within the context of the book's publication in the 1940s. Walt had recognized the lack of contemporary books about animation that provided enough information for budding artists, so he took on a significant role in the writing of this book. The book provides a detailed study of the Disney Studios animation process during that time, featuring character design sheets, color stills, concept art, and cute sketches of Mickey and friends to guide you through it all. Position and Team Play in Polo by W.D. Devereux reflects Walt's personal love for the sport of polo, alongside other similar books of his on display in our galleries. One interesting trait of this book is the notable sun fade on the spine, which shows that Walt must have had this on a shelf that was exposed to a lot of sun. This book was inscribed to Walt with a note signed by someone named Harry, which may refer to production manager and San Francisco native Harry Title, who played polo with Walt. Though we couldn't personally decipher the diagrams shown in this book, we can infer that Walt probably saw this book as helpful for improving at his hobby. We can even see annotations written in pencil, either written by Walt or another owner of this specific copy. In 1936, legendary American artist Norman Rockwell was commissioned to illustrate Mark Twain's The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, followed by The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. These illustrations were a product of extensive on-the-ground research in Mark Twain's hometown of Hannibal, Missouri. A proud Midwesterner himself, Walt loved The Adventures of Tom Sawyer so much that he dedicated an entire island in Disneyland to the story. In addition to being signed by Walt's friend and the book's illustrator, Norman Rockwell, what makes this a unique edition of this book is all 8 of the illustrations are hand-tipped, which means the illustrations are printed separately from the main text and then individually attached to the book's pages by hand. Peter Pan captivated Walt's imagination from a young age after seeing J.M. Barrie's stage play, Peter Pan or the Boy Who Would Not Grow Up in Marceline, Missouri, with Maude Adams portraying Peter. This would later inspire Walt to perform the same role in a school play. Here is Walt's edition of the printed play, which presented story elements and characters that more closely resemble the 1953 Disney animated feature, such as Wendy, John and Michael Darling, Captain Hook, Smee, and Tinkerbell. Here is Walt's 1906 edition of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens by J.M. Barrie and illustrated by Arthur Rackham. This children's book was written after the presentation of Barrie's stage play, Peter Pan or the Boy Who Would Not Grow Up. This book centers around a much younger Peter, presenting familiar elements like fairies and fantastical characters, but in a darker, moodier tone, seen in these beautiful hand-tipped illustrations found in the back of the book. While we do not know for sure when Walt purchased these books, Walt made attempts in 1935 to obtain the film rights to the story. These books from Walt's personal library are an example of his belief that learning how to research is a very important skill, not only for school, but for everyday life. We'll close this chapter on an inspirational word from Walt himself.
I've always felt that the thing that the school should put more emphasis on is how to research. When I want to know anything, I know how to go about getting it. And I think that's a very valuable thing. Now, how to research, I think, is what all students should know. Because if you take even a lawyer who spent years, where would he be without his library? You see? And I see these writers, these fellows who, if you go in where they're working, you see all the different books they have around and everything else, and the dictionaries they have there, you know. Repertoire.